This is the news, the Train Sim World 4 news. We've got our November 2023 roadmap. As usual, I read this information to improve the accessibility for those who cannot or will not go and read it for themselves, to give you an opportunity to get the information. Any comments and feedback, absolutely welcome. Chuck them down below. We have our usual 3 columns, 0 to 3 months, the near future, 4 to 6 months, the midterm future, and 6 months plus, the long-term future. Under core, we have the winter core update, and the themes are formation designer, suspension improvements, and MIDI HUD improvements. I've seen the improvements, quite like them. Add-ons, Maintelbahn, Aschaffenburg to Miltenberg, and an unnamed US route that I'm sure will get revealed soon. Partner releases, Blackpool branches Preston to Blackpool and Ormskirk by Just Trains. It's their first route for the game, so looking forward to that. Bernina Lini, Tirano, Ospizio, Bernina by Rivet Games. Edinburgh Glasgow Engineering Express Pack by Rivet Games. RHB Arosa Aggregates Pack by Rivet Games. Regional Railways Class 323 Pack by Simtrack Studios. So they're a new player in the game, be kind to them. Gameplay Pack by Skyhook Games. Patches, we've got a bunch of post-release improvements we'll get more details on shortly, and Midland Mainline improvements. In the medium term, 4 to 6 months, there's another US route, another UK route, another German route, and another Austrian route. So it's no longer a 3-country game, because we're going to have 2 routes in Switzerland, we're going to have 2 routes in Austria. There's a little bit of Italy in one of the routes, so we're getting into a 5 to 6 country game, and as more partners come online, that's going to change. From partner releases, there'll be another UK route from Rivet Games, a Loco Pack from Simtrack Studios, and editor improvements in the patches. In the longer term, there'll be another German route, another US Loco, another Austrian Loco. Partner releases will be a Loco Pack from a new undisclosed partner, and patches in more editor improvements. Release dates to be confirmed. There's the DBBR 420 from TSG. That's been on the roadmap for a few years. If you don't know, TSG actually work on the core of the game, so perhaps don't have enough time to go and do the other things they'd like to do, so that's why it's stagnant. There's a route from Union Workshop coming up. Union Workshop are very well known for doing Asian content, Japanese and Chinese, so we shall see what we shall see. Matt did actually leak which country it was in a video a little while ago, but I won't mention it. You can go find out for yourself. Route by Alan Thompson Simulation, that will be their first one. Colin Arkin timetable update. Now, these new partners that are building stuff, don't expect that stuff to happen quickly. It's a huge learning curve for Train Sim World. Now, I had some feedback to not read the TLDR, so we won't, because, you know, it's all covered in the main one anyway. Alrighty, the Train Sim World roadmap. What a list. Welcome to our second monthly roadmap since the release of Train Sim World 4. Once again, thank you for letting us know about your rail adventures since the launch, sending through incredible photo mode masterpieces, planning the routes of your dreams using our PC editor, sending in crucial feedback, and of course thank you for your patience as we've released our improvements. There have been a few dramas in recent releases, but they've been on top of them pretty quickly for the most part. In this month's roadmap, we'll be revealing a brand new Swiss route from Rivet Games, the new Rivet Games gameplay packs for Arosa Lini and the ScotRail Express, as well as discussing more for the upcoming Blackpool branches route from Just Trains, introducing more third-party partners, and talk much more in-depth about our released patches, upcoming planned updates, and core system improvements coming to Train Sim World 4. And there's a heading, could be a warning, content up ahead. Alright, Blackpool branches coming November 14th, so that's not far at all, that's only a little over a week. We've just announced our Blackpool branches coming soon article, so the first add-on for Train Sim World 4 will be coming on November the 14th, just 1 week. For our Steam users, you can wishlist the upcoming Just Trains route now, and today we have a first look video to share for the Pacer. So I'm going to play the video because I think it comes in under fair use to play this and talk it through over the top of it. So let's go. Blackpool Branches Class 142 Pacer. We have the light blue British regional livery. Looks suitably grubby and marked up. We have the light chocolate brown livery and an orange livery. Sounds a bit diseasely, as you would expect. Standard bus seats, lots of passengers. Look like a few new faces in there, actually. We can see it travelling on the route, and we can see the big Blackpool Tower in the background. And some nice semaphore signals as the thing rumbles along.
The next stop is Blackpool.
There we go. So it looks quite well worn. That's a good thing. All right. We also want to share Just Train's first look video too, which showcases the suspension improvements on the Pacer in action. More details on suspension improvements further on in the roadmap. So let's have a look at the Just Trains video and let's see what the bouncing is like. Shot of the 142, headlights coming on, changing the destination blinds. So it's nice that we'll be able to change those. I think last train we could change those on might have been the 101, which is not that dissimilar to this thing. AWS valve probably. Master key, reverser changing. They don't seem to be labelled. Interesting. Still looks suitably grubby like it did before, so good. Well used. Brakes are off and we're underway. Oh, there is a little bit of bounce to it. This thing was colloquially known as the Nodding Donkey. It's got a good bit of bounce to it, actually. I wonder if they'll show us an outside shot. I'm quite liking the way this looks. I do get motion sickness, so slightly concerned what this might do on the 5K screen when I play it on the full widescreen. When I stream, I only play in 2K, so no issues there. But when I'm playing on the 5, I wonder what'll happen. I'll report back on that. Well, that looks like it for the bouncing. We didn't get to see the outside, but that's okay. We will very soon. Alrighty. You can also read more information for what's coming with the add-ons, such as updates to the Class 47/4 and the Class 08, including retextures, lighting and smoke effects in the latest Just Trains dev update. I should probably find that and do an article for it, shouldn't I? In the meantime, we've spoken to Just Train's development team to find out their favourite parts of the upcoming route, as well as share more screenshots. From Benedict Cooper, Just Train's 3D artist. My favourite part of the route is the section between Ormskirk and Preston, as it has an entirely different feeling compared to the rest of the route. It's nice driving along, seeing all the fields with their different crops, and I think it makes for some excellent screenshot opportunities with all the farm crossings and bridges throughout. With the mill and other small industries dotted about, it really adds to the feeling of the area too. We've got a screenshot of a chocolate brown Pacer with special trundling along through what is farm country near a farm occupation crossing. These crossings, if you've never met them, if you know nothing about UK trains, they have a little box next to them, and the farmer contacts the signaller and ascertains whether it's okay to cross the tracks or not, and then they can run their tractor or horses or stock or whatever over the line if the signaller approves it. Alex Ford, Just Train's development director. Firstly, I must applaud Just Train's development team for this fantastic creation. All the team are enthusiastic, dedicated and knowledgeable train enthusiasts, as well as having very skilled artists. This is their first Train Sim World project, and they have absolutely nailed it right on the head. For me, it was amazing to see the route and trains grow as the development proceeded and screenshots were taken. Looking at some of these images, it's really hard to distinguish some of them from the real world, and that's absolutely amazing. We've got a Class 47/4 sitting in a very foggy morning in the station, hauling a crate of probably 2 coaches. It's hard to tell, it's a bit foggy. And I'm not going to pretend to be an expert. Callum Green, Just Trains 3D artist. One of my favourite parts of the route is the section on the Blackpool South line between Kirkham and Wesham and the Moss side, because I like the rural vibe and it mimics the feel of the real route very closely. There are also some nice ambient sounds to make it feel even more immersive. So that means that you should ride on the outside of your train sometimes so you actually hear these sounds, because you don't tend to hear the ambient sounds when you're inside the coach unless you've got your windows open. Then you might. It's another farm occupation crossing. Down in the bottom right hand corner you can see the little box I was talking about to contact the signaller, and a big warning sign reminding the farmer that they must actually contact the signaller and abide by the rules and look for trains even after they've done that. Pretty good. We do have one of those famous power lines that go along and then just disappear into the ground, which I've always found just slightly disconcerting and weird, really. But anyway, that's life in gaming, isn't it? Thomas Harrison, Just Trains environmental artist. The location that stands out the most for me is the iconic view that looks into Preston itself from the Maudlands Viaduct. This location packs in so much into one scene. You of course have Maudlands Viaduct itself as the centre part, with the Church of St Walburge dominating from above. Amongst all of that you have the hustle and bustle of everyday life which surrounds the area, ranging from busy main roads to quiet, sleepy terraced rows climbing the hillsides. So let's have a bit of a look. We have a 4-car pacer set trundling over the viaduct, and we have a lot of terraced houses. There's a couple of big churches in view. There's a steeple for a third one over in the left hand corner. In fact, there's another steeple there, or it's not a steeple but a bell tower for another one, so there's rather a lot of churches in this area. You can also see a blue double-decker bus down there, which I think is new to the game. They always have been green in the past, I think, so that's a new livery on the double-deckers. Very welcome. Cars are travelling on the correct side of the road. I can see one down there about level with the pacer that is actually floating, which is a kind of a trademark. In fact, I can see another one, the yellow one further away, is also floating. That's life. Pacers look pretty good. I did see someone comment somewhere that there's no diesel smoke from the Pacers, yet you can clearly see some in this screenshot, so I don't know what they're talking about. As usual in the game, if the sun's between you and the smoke, you'll see it, and if the sun is behind you, you probably won't, and that's what it's like in real life on most things. I suppose this one stands out the most for myself, as it's the area I am most proud of in my scenery art creation within the project. No matter what time of day for me, this location is always worth the time to pop into photo mode and grab a quick picture. You can get some really fantastic shots. Photo mode is proving quite a boon to people. They're quite enjoying it. This one's actually a very lovely shot, either at the beginning or the end of the day. Nice orange sky from the setting sun and all of the smog hanging around. There's a pacer sitting in the left-hand side of the shot, and the terrace houses and church steeple over on the right. It is quite nicely lined up. The person doesn't know their photography, and they are following the standard rules. The rules of thirds and leading lines and the things that make pictures just pleasing. So they've done quite well. I particularly like how they captured the sun sitting on top of the church steeple on the left there. It's kind of like a bit of a pinprick about to pop the balloon, but that's okay. Marcin Mudro, Just Trains 3D artist. I have to say that I love the whole of Preston, Blackpool and Ormskirk route, but my favourite part, and close to my heart, maybe because I had the pleasure to model most of its custom assets, is the Blackpool South Branch. Not only because we have one of the biggest landmarks on the route, the Pleasure Beach Island, with all its famous rides, and because rising above Blackpool itself we see the world-famous Blackpool Tower. So here's another photo mode shot, another foggy day. You can see the amusement parks in the background and the Blackpool Tower. We can see a 2-car pacer set, which is just going underneath what I actually think that's a rail bridge. I think that's a station on top of that. Could be wrong, but I think it is. Heading along there on the South Branch. Mark Walker, Just Trains lead environmental artist. My favourite part of the route, and undoubtedly, is Blackpool North. The terminus provides a great deal of interest, and at certain times, notably late morning in the summer and late evening in the autumn, it really is a hive of activity. You'll see a wide variety of locos and trains arriving in the station. Blackpool North Station is overlooked by the Blackpool Tower and Blackpool North No. 2 signal box, which in itself is a nice place to sit and watch the movements. Now, before we look at the picture, just to comment on the wide variety, an awful lot of stuff layers into Blackpool, but you need to have it. So if you haven't got it, what you've got is the Pacer and the 47 and the 08. If you've got the other things, then there's a lot of stuff layering into it. We can see in the picture a Class 47/4, number 431. We can see the lit up Blackpool Tower in the background, which answers the question of does it light up at night? Yes, it does. We can see a Pacer down in the distance on the right there at the bottom of the platform. Semaphore signalling, good to see. Generally a nice, fairly pleasing scene. Does look looks a little busy for a country-ish sort of station. Join us for a preview of Blackpool branches in just a couple of days on Thursday, November the 9th. So that's tomorrow, in fact, for us. We're both, well, actually for me, I suppose it'll be Friday. Thursday, November 9th, where both Thomas and Benedict from Just Trades will join alongside us to showcase the route. You can set a notification for the stream on our Blackpool Branches YouTube event page. I'll try and remember to pop a link to that down in the description. New route. Let's get off Blackpool, let's go to Switzerland. Bernina Line, Ospizio Bernina-Toronto by Rivet Games. Wrap up warm and make sure your photo mode cameras are fully charged as our marketing coordinator James, working with Rivet Games, shares the very first details in their latest upcoming route, Bernina Linny. Set within some of the highest peaks of Switzerland, the RHB rail network connects vast expanses of remote and popular towns, villages and resorts within the country's canton of Graubünden, often bordered by and overshadowed by the awe-inspired World Heritage status Alps. They are some seriously big mountains. The mountains have been populated by photogrammetry this time, so they shouldn't have any of the artifacts that we were used to from the other Rosalini, where it had some very interesting things happening on the mountains. You will, of course, still get tree pop in because it's Train Sim World, and you just will. That's how it works. We can see a station on the line, some relatively complex catenary, narrow gauge track, of course, and looks like they're using the old water rather than the new water on the route. I wish they would update that to the new water. We've got some nice clouds hanging around the top of the mountains. That's a feature of the volumetric things that have been enabled now in the core. So if you're looking down from above, you can actually see a cloud layer that obliterates valleys, which is quite cool, quite realistic. And you see a nice inversion layer up there, which is also quite cool. Nice flat bottoms and fluffy tops. It's how clouds should actually be, unlike the Simpsons we used to have. Bernina Line is a bit of a slow one, so mostly it's single track. Don't expect any high-speed running because there really isn't a lot. Depends how much of the off-mountain stuff they model, I suppose, but the on-mountain stuff is quite slow. It's 25 and 30 kilometres an hour, so you'll have to hold on to your hats. Starting at the top of Bernina Pass at an altitude of 2,253 metres or 7,392 feet, we join the line at Ospizio Bernina, sat upon the bank of the Lago Bianco, which is White Lake, I suppose. This alone ranks the Bernina Linny among some of the highest railways in Europe, being the highest rail crossing / passing place in Europe, and it also becomes one of the world's steepest as we embark on our journey. Gradients as steep as 7% can be found. Impressive for a standard Hessian railway. Indeed it is. The railway I operate on is 3%, and that's pretty hairy. And we've got a screenshot with some very nicely lit mountains, probably morning or afternoon light, where the mountains are in the light and the valley with the train is not. We have got our little train. Those look like the coaches from Rosalini being towed by the newer unit in the front. Hopefully we'll get a shot of the newer unit because it's quite nice. The Bernina Linny from Rivet Games will make the hairpin descent along the faces of mountains and settle into the winding alpine valleys before making an arrival into the line's southern terminus of Tirano. For the folks with their maps already open, they will note that this marks Italy's first, albeit subtle appearance in Train Sim World. There's a big horseshoe curve on this thing too, so it's worth looking at. So there is Tirano. Does have a nice sort of Italian sort of flavour to it at the bottom of the Alps there. And of course there's a pizza box. Oh, very good. That's probably one of the route collectibles, I suppose. I can also see a route map in the distance that's blank, so I suppose that's another one of the route collectibles. We shall find out more as we go. I think I can see another pizza box over on the other side, actually, so there's a few of them. Picture postcard views await as Rivet Games have used LiDAR data and custom landscape materials to produce possibly the most stunning and accurate rendition of the Swiss Alps possibly ever seen in a train simulator. Yeah, okay. As we see the breathtaking peaks setting the scene, the unmistakable Bruzio spiral viaduct dominates the picture, with its unique 360-degree loop of track allowing dramatic change in railway attitude while not making any further progress towards the Italian border. Now, when they say it's a unique 360 loop of track, no, it's not. Alright, it's the only one I know of that's on a viaduct like this, but that's a happy pass. Same thing. And it also happens, I think, inside Goddard Tunnel. I think there's a loop back like this. You wouldn't know because it's in a tunnel, but there certainly are. It's not unique at all. So, there. Anyway, it looks pretty reasonable. The mountains look quite nice. They're quite well treed, the houses going up into the mountains. We have had this route in Train Sim Classic, and this certainly has a little more detail. Has a sort of Swiss Bavarian sort of flavour to the buildings, so I suppose they've got that relatively right. And they've got the big ugly power pylons in the left there. We don't see any wires joining the pylons though, so we'll see if those come or not. They do kind of wreck the landscape, so I can understand why you'd leave them out, but I suppose they really should be there, shouldn't they? The foreground rocks look like foreground rocks. All looks pretty reasonable to me. Be nice if there was a train on it. But you can see how steep the gradient is there too. It actually is the 7% as you go through there, I believe. Bit of a tough run. Seen running southbound under the shadow of Positiavo's landscape is RHB's versatile ABE 8/12 electric multiple unit. 3 cars in length and capable of hauling both passenger and freight stock, the Allegra features full dual voltage capabilities with the 1000-volt DC operation of the Bernina Linea and the 11 kilovolt AC on a Rosalini, all selectable to take the train on either route. Rivet's innovative announcer, as first seen on Edinburgh Glasgow's Class 385, also returns here, but with the added ability of being fully automatic and making announcements in 3 different languages. So we're getting station announcements. That is very, very welcome. Got a nice looking overhead line there. That actually does look quite snazzy. And we've got the train itself. Is it the 8/12? Was it? The 8/12. Looks like quite a nice unit. Triple bar pantographs at the top. Looks like it's got the old window glass rather than the new Train Sim World 4 window glass. So we'll see how that goes, I suppose. Landscape looks quite nice. The mountains look good. Distant looks fairly good. You do see what I was talking about with the tree pop in there, but that is just the game, where you can see the trees kind of end there. That's as you cross the diagonal line from middle left going to the right. As you get closer, the trees will pop in. The really highest parts of the mountains, of course, don't have trees because they're way above the snow line and they just get wrecked. But yeah, pop in. From the valley views of Alp Grum to the magnificent lakeside views of Miralego, the Bernina Linea Terranzo Ospizio Bernina from Rivet Games will offer all new meter gauge action soon in Train Sim World 4. Look out for more details from Rivet Games and on further roadmaps in the future. Maintalbahn coming soon. Modern day diesel adventures across the portside town of Schaffenburg, Germany are quickly approaching. Last month we shared a range of screenshots for our upcoming Maintalbahn Schaffenburg-Miltenberg add-on, and today we'll be sharing some from our development teams, additional screenshots and a sneak peek into the mastery reward. So we have the route map from Schaffenburg-Hochbahnhof through Schaffenburg-Hochschule, Schaffenburg-Sud, Schaffenburg-Obenau, Sulzbach am Main, Kleinwallstadt, Oldenburg-Elsenfield, Glanstoffwerk, Erlenbach am Main, Worth am Main, Klingenberg Main, Lordenbach am Main, Kleinherbach to Miltenberg. and I apologise if I butchered the Germanic names. As a short recap for those jumping on the Maintalbahn train, we've got a regional charm and a new DB BR642 diesel multiple unit, supported by the BR363, offering local shunter freight across the route. You'll be relaxing, i.e. slow, alongside the main river on this diesel Desiro beauty, set in the modern day and layering in the red DB BR628, a recent addition if you own Niedertalbahn. The route will be priced at €24.99, $29.99 sorry, £24.99, $29.99 or €29.99. In Australia, that would be in the mid-50s. We have a 642 with logos from BWEGT and labelled West Frankenbahn. A bit like Frankenstein Bahn. We do have the nice new water textures here. It's an early morning shot by the looks of it, or a late evening, one or the other, and quite nicely done. Crossing over a bridge. We spoke to Lucas, our senior technical producer, who's been working on the route, to share a little more on why we chose Maintalbahn as the next German route in Train Sim World 4, as well as showing you some lovely pictures from our beta team who have been trying out the route for themselves. Hi. Don't ask me, I can't tell you. We've got the diesel multiple unit there in front of a nice looking Germanic station. Looks like a custom asset for this route, I think. Lots of nice grasses and things around the edges. Bit of a sharp edge between the train tracks and the formation, but that's normal in this game. One day we'll figure out a smooth way of doing that. Lucas says, we really wanted to bring another diesel multiple unit into our German offering, but most diesel branch lines are pretty simple one train per hour deals. This route offers a more varied service pattern and quite a bit of industry despite being mostly single track. From a gameplay standpoint, it just made sense to pick this. Our next picture is the 363 shunter dragging along a rake of tank wagons through the snow on a late afternoon or early evening shot. Looks kind of cool. The 363 is a fairly high speed engine for a shunter, so don't think too lower speeds. You'll probably get up to a decent one. One of the more unique features on the route is the mastery tile, where you can launch a ship from the shipyard. I've seen a ship launched from the shipyard in Erlenbach myself, so really enjoy sitting at the bridge there and having a look. We look forward to showing you more details soon. Expect to hear more from us around the release date, as well as the timings for our Maintalbahn previews very soon. We've got a 642 in the afternoon sunlight, labelled Nick Einsteigen. You can see that sharp delineation I was talking about between the ballast formation and the trackside formation. It's one that I'd love to see smoothed out just a little. But it's been like that forever. And I've been saying it forever. That's okay. But apart from that, it actually looks pretty cool. We've got some... I'm just trying to get a bit of a handle on the buildings that are there. They do look very Germanic. They've got some nice colourful buildings, which are fairly typical for the area. So, looking forward to it. New Rivet Games gameplay packs. We can also announce 2 new packs being created by Rivet Games, coming on November the 21st, so a couple of weeks away, bringing additional gameplay in the form of scenarios, new timetables, new liveries and rolling stock for both the Rosalini, as well as the ScotRail Express across Edinburgh to Glasgow. RHB Arosa Aggregates. Rivet Games are bringing us back to the Swiss peaks with all new Swiss services, including a new Rosalini timetable and 5 new scenarios to master. Pick up the RHB FAC aggregate wagon, as well as 2 new liveries for the RHB GE4/4 2 electric locomotive. The number 622 Hoek-Tozen Railway and number 629 Neubau Albu Tunnel, I guess. One of them has the Japanese characters from Hakone. Ooh, wash your mouth out. Definitely Japanese. Actually been to Hakone recently, so, you know. Just a couple of weeks ago. You reckon I'd get the name right. Anyway, and we've got the Neubau Albu Tunnel train on the other side, with a worker plastered on the side of it and lots of stickers. So, good to see. Something I'd never noticed before, but the pantographs have actual little high voltage flag things hanging from them. Never noticed that before. I wonder if the other locos have that. Anyway, we have also the aggregates wagon for discharging ballast onto the tracks. So it's how they ballast the line. This one's discharging ballast in a siding, which could get awfully exciting. And I don't know if they're making any changes to the route or not. It would be nice if they did, but that's probably a pretty big job. Engineering Express, you'll be able to explore more gameplay on the ScotRail Express route, from the engineering movements to daring drags. You'll find 5 additional scenarios, an additional timetable across Edinburgh, Glasgow, and 2 new liveries for the Class 66, namely the Ocean Network Express, ONE Magenta, and i.e. pink, and the direct rail services in DRS blue. So here's the ONE Class 66. Yellow front, pink sides, looks kind of like a shipping container, so it's a fitting livery for this thing. It is known as the shed. Now we can call it the box, or the container. There you go. We've got another shot of the ONE 1 as one we can. And it will feature new emergency adapter coupler from the Class 66 to drag Class 385 electric multiple units. You will also be able to pick up the YGB Seacow wagon in both painted blue and unpainted grey liveries. Both of these new gameplay packs will be available on all platforms from November the 21st, and we'll be providing some more information in the coming weeks build up to the release. They'll be priced at £10 or €11 or 14 US dollars, so about the 20 odd mark for Australia. New partner, introducing SimTrack Studios. It is always a delight to welcome another developer into the Train Sim World Partner Program. All faces, old and new, are welcome. Whereas so far Rivet Games, Skyhook Games and Just Trains, for example, are already established and published third parties for Train Simulator Classic, SimTrack Studios is a brand new venture, and who else better to introduce them than the team themselves? Question. Hi SimTrack, great to have you on board. Why don't you start by telling us a little about yourselves and where else people may have heard of you? SimTrack says, hi DTG. Simply put, people won't have heard of us as a developer before, as this is the very first time we've worked together to develop something. You may recognise some familiar names in the community, but this is the first time we've worked as a team. We come from a variety of backgrounds, working in the railway to being software developers, and we're hoping this variety of skills will help us develop some great products. What is it that made you all want to come together and form a brand new studio? Train Sim World does a great job. Just excuse me just a moment. Just put this in the blooper reel. We just had our little vacuum cleaner invade the room, so I've just paused it. Life happens. Anyway, let's get into it again. Train Sim World does a great job at delivering a wide variety of experiences to players, but we wanted an opportunity to deliver some more specialised content for players to enjoy. At the time of our startup, the public editor wasn't a thing, so we set out to get involved with the partner program. Question. Collaboration is key to delivering content as a team, and so aspiring developers out there can get an understanding. How would you describe working together, despite being entirely remote, and working in a constructive and collaborative way? SimTrack responds, luckily remote working has become increasingly easy, especially after the last few years. Certain areas are better, as it's much easier to search for information in a written conversation than it is to remember a verbal one. Learning the tools has been the hardest part, as you simply can't beat sitting next to someone and learning, but the progress made so far has been promising. Question. We often suggest that developers cut their teeth on add-ons, which they can deliver while also getting used to the entire process. What pack have you decided will be your first? SimTrack responds, our first product will be the Regional Railways liveried Class 323, alongside a set of scenarios that bring a splash of colour to the Midlands. We picked this as getting reference material was straightforward, alongside that Cross City is a popular route and lots of players will be able to enjoy this. So we've got the slightly different liveried version of the 323, grey sides, a lime, it's sort of a minty green stripe I suppose, with yellow highlight stripes above and below and a blue stripe below that. Well, that's a nice surprise addition to the roadmap, and great to see Cross City getting some more gameplay. We are also now able to reveal the UK Loco Pack, new partner currently on the roadmap in the 3 to 6 months window, is a Simtrack Studios product. Simtrack, we're not done introducing colour, and this time will be a splash of BR Green. We will be continuing to work with Simtrack to bring their first brand new loco to Train Sim World. Keep an eye out on the future mode maps for more updates. So they're not actually going to tell us what it is. That's okay. That's 2 UK packs in a row. Will you continue to be focusing on the UK network, or do you want to stretch your wheels across borders? Simtrack responds, our aim was always to provide a variety of content, and that's certainly not limited to any one country. The team is spread geographically, and interests are varied as a result. We plan on making use of these interests to bring a variety of content. Question, do you have any other final cryptic teasers for the folks at home? Simtrack responds, I think it's safe to say the interview has peaked here. It's time for us to put the kettle on. Well, okay then. And they get thanked for their time, and we look forward to hearing more from Simtrack in the future. If you'd like to keep up with their work, you can follow their Facebook or Instagram pages. I'll try and remember to put links to those in the description. For now, the Regional Railways Class 323 pack is coming soon. Patches and updates. I just had a horrible panicky moment to check if I was still recording, and I am. It's okay. The bloody vacuum cleaner disturbed me. Patches and updates. Xbox crashing and missing entitlements. A couple of weeks back in October, we announced we were able to finally resolve the remaining issues causing certain Xbox systems to crash to the menu upon startup. Additionally, we've also managed to solve almost all of the missing entitlements across our different platforms, except for a couple of final ones we're working on resolving currently, which are listed below. Class 700 on the Epic Game Store, Great Western Express on the Epic Game Store, and the DBBR 204 on Xbox consoles. We know that these issues have been frustrating for those who were affected during the launch of Train Sim World 4, and we want to thank you for your patience while our teams have worked hard and continue to work hard to find solutions. So, as I said to someone who commented on one of my videos the other day, if you're still missing stuff and it's not in that little list there, make sure you log a support ticket with Dovetail, and they will definitely help you out. Because they'll be able to figure out what you own, because they know, and they'll be able to get you keys to replace it in whatever platform you are working in. They're quite friendly folks, they're very helpful, so don't just sit around on Facebook whinging about it. Get onto the support site, log a ticket, and Bob will be your uncle. Okay, patch 31st of October. This was the Halloween spooky patch. Well, not really. We wanted to address the elephant in the room with last week's patch. Whilst there were a lot of things that actively improved players' experiences across the platforms they play on, there were a couple of specific issues we saw with our most recent patch on the 31st of October, which we wanted to acknowledge. The patch did not go out how we planned, and we wanted to start by holding our hands up and apologising for the inconvenience caused to the PlayStation players affected by crashes brought in by the update. Whilst we resolved the issues as swiftly as we could, thanks to all those who helped raise them to us, we don't want to be spending time fixing things that we ourselves have broken with new patches. As well as being a very inefficient use of our time, it also diverts time away from other improvements and quality of life updates that we want to focus on. Things will slip through the net on occasion, but introducing something like crashing bug is unacceptable. Now the update is out and we've managed to address the crashes happening, we'll be taking some time to review with our development and QA teams what went wrong and how we can prevent this in future patches. We will continue to release regular patches and aim to target the areas you've told us you'd like improved, so please keep your feedback coming. The proof will be through action though, so we will endeavour to bring you great content without the corresponding issues. Patch on the 31st of October, community mods and testing progress. Additionally, while we don't actively support PC mods, we also understand how important they are to some of you and your gameplay experiences. Our latest patch was intended to improve the modding ability on TSW4, however it ended up affecting other core mods instead, so we've reverted this change shortly after we rolled it out. We will be revisiting this improvement in the future, and as an action we have gathered a series of unofficial mods that we will use in our testing process for new updates to understand more about the impact our changes may have on popular community mods. Recent patches. Here's a summary of what we've updated this month and what we'll be sharing with you all soon. 17th of October patch highlights. We did an article on this a while ago. Liveries created in previous TSW iterations will now render correctly. Improvements to haptics on PlayStation systems, adjustments to medal thresholds to allow for gold and platinum medals to be obtained, many various crash fixes, 31st of October patch highlights: front-facing external camera bouncing uncontrollably when moving through tunnels or under bridges. Azuma decals can now be placed on the far ends of coaches in Livery Designer. Enabled gamepad interaction with AWS control on Flying Scotsman. PS5 trophies will now be unlockable. Many adjustments to Vectron systems and functionality. There was a huge list of Vectron changes, so go back to the previous article, the one before this one, if you want to know about them. Future patches. You can expect continued improvement patches coming to Transcend World 4, and as a preview of our next set of improvements, we are currently looking into New York Trenton passengers not appearing, Antelope Valley LA Union passenger lighting issues, OBB 4024 indicator light visibility, East Coast mainline overhead line equipment improvements, BR182 CFA warning light and audio, photo mode improvements. We also have an upcoming larger update coming soon, which we're calling the Winter Core Update. That'll be summer for the Aussies. Work is continuing on bringing a weighted formation designer and suspension improvements, as well as a range of updates and mini HUD accessibility changes taken directly from your community feedback. We're bundling this together into a Winter Core Update. This is a little while away from launching, but we hope to bring you good news between now and December's roadmap on progress. Formation Designer. We're continuing to work on Formation Designer, and it's coming along well. You can preview of the UI and menus from our previous roadmap update. Expect demonstrations of our teams using Formation Designer coming soon, and the aim is to bring this to your hands with the winter update. If you don't know what Formation Designer is, it basically lets you choose your own locomotives and carriages and bung them together to use in scenarios and free roam. Suspension improvements. If you missed it in our Blackpool branches section, right there, with the release of the route coming out this time next week, we work closely with the Just Trains team to implement the new suspension improvements on the Pacer locos ahead of the planned release of this improvement to TSW4 content. It's not really a loco, it's more of a bus. You can see a showcase of the feature in the Just Trains Class 142 video that we watched earlier and commented on. The Just Trains team have worked with our teams to implement a prototypical but much simpler setup of the suspension improvements as part of their work on the Pacer. As the Pacer does not contain air suspension or bogies, it's a simpler process. You can see this working in-game in the first look Pacer video we published today. Look at that bounce. We'll continue to work on the core improvements for Transcend World 4 locos, with the current plan to retroactively add the improvements to new locos included in the TSW4 Standard Edition routes, as well as Main Toolbarn's DBBR642. They're only talking about locos, they're not talking about bounce for carriages. Mini HUD improvements. We want to thank all of you for sharing your thoughts on the new HUD that we've introduced in Transcend World 4. In our Winter Core update, we'll be adding much more customization to the mini HUD via a range of toggleable HUD elements to allow you to customize exactly what you want to have displayed on your screen. These additional toggleable elements include your speed, distance to current objective, and tracker markers, platform markers, and sightings. I am very happy to see the distance to objective thing come in. I reckon that's fantastic. That's really, really helpful, because it means that you don't have to have your objective markers on, which is a good thing, except when you're walking around, you want to hit the blue bars. The other thing that you can see there is your current speed and the speed limit. They do look like that they are separate boxes, so hopefully you can toggle off your current speed. Looks like there's an accelerometer there too, I'm guessing that's what that is. And keep the speed limit. I'd like to have the speed limit, but I'm not the slightest bit interested in having my current speed up there because I don't want to be staring at that. I want to be using the train hardware. And you've got your gradient as well. That's also very, very welcome to have in the HUD. While you're learning a route, it takes a long time. There's an awful lot of routes in this game. Not many people will play a route right through to its completion, so you need that gradient marker for new players and revisiting routes that you haven't run for a while. The track monitor will also look ahead and scales the distance depending on your speed. Yay. If you are travelling at 0 to 80 k's, you'll see 1.5 k's ahead, which scales up to a 6k distance the faster you're travelling. Platform markers are the blue bars on the track monitor. That is a really, really welcome change, and it's one that, frankly, I whinged about quite a bit. I whinged about that one too. So there's an awful lot of feedback came in via the forums, and I think that swayed things. So your comments on the forums do make a difference, so please make sure if you feel strongly about something, go and say it. But don't just say it's busted or I hate it. Get on there and say, this is what it's like, this is what I want it to be, this is what I think it should do. Put it in those terms, stay friendly, stay collaborative, stay positive, and you will get listened to. This is absolute proof that that happens. Be constructive and collaborative. They're my comments to everybody. I'm not going to single anyone out, that's why I say it's to everybody, but there are some people who are negative and, quite frankly, could do with taking their hands off it. The keyboard, that is. Just shouldn't put their hands on the keyboard. What were you thinking? God. Additionally, the countdown progress bar now has the option of 1 kilometre, 2 kilometre and 4 kilometre distance. That's also really handy because the distance countdowns are fine if you're running on an average speed railway of, 50 to 100 kilometres an hour. But once you started getting over that, they were kind of useless because the bar would be blank and then it would suddenly go orange at 250 kilometres an hour and you can't stop. So yes, you should know the route, but, previous comment where you don't play routes all the time. You flip around as your heart takes you. Well, most of us do anyway. There are some people who play absolutely every service on the route, and good on them. You will be able to modify these settings in the HUD type options found in main menu settings accessibility HUD type. Great. I am very pleased that you can turn these things on and off. I'm also very pleased that they seem to have gotten away from the idea that making new settings is difficult. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I'm glad they're doing it. Progress on improvements. New Colin Arkin timetable. We also wanted to check back in with Joe, who has been upgrading the Colin Arkin timetable for Train Sim World 4. We initially spoke about this back on our August 2023 roadmap, and today we have new screenshots to share all of our progress. Here's Joe with more. And this one, I have to say, is take that, dispatcher. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trains on the move going into and out of Colin Arkin. So some of them have their red lights, so they're going in. Some of them have their white lights, so they're coming out. That's quite a lot. One of the busiest scenes in this timetable at Colin Hansering, the ICE in the centre is heading to the depot. Joe, this new timetable is being added to significantly increase traffic levels and variety around the route's major stations, as well as all new freight services. Playable-wise, the services were mostly already represented, but these have been recreated with more accurate timing, stock usage and stopping patterns, the latter mainly RE1's peak services. The route, however, felt a little quiet at, well, it says quiet, but I'm sure they meant quiet, at the large stations, but there was plenty of opportunities for AI services. So we can see a 425 and a ICE 1, I guess it is, over the other side there, or just an ICE set of carriages anyway. And it's going to Essen. There's another train going to Ham on the right-hand side there. So we've got 3 trains in the shot at once, which is kind of cool. And it's tagged RB33 arrives from Essen, one of the few AI services to make Aachen HBF busier. I quite like them adding AI services to make the big stations look better, going in and out of portals near the station. The routes themselves stay relatively prototypical, but the stations seem busy, and the big stations seem busy, which is important. Joe says, I reached out to a contact to help with the Bremen freight information, and they were about to get a full timetable for freight across the line. The new freight services have realistic stops and timings where the freight trains will be allowed to stop to allow faster trains to overtake. I think I butchered that a little bit. Why have I stopped scrolling? Why? Where's my mouse gone? And we're back. My rechargeable mouse just ran out of juice. I suppose I should have expected that. I've had that thing for 6 months and I've never charged it since I got it. I better charge it up. Alright, what a moment for that to happen right in the middle of recording stuff. But anyway, here we have got another large set of trains. There's 1 passenger, there's a freight, and 2 more passenger trains sitting in the station, so looking fairly busy. And we have EZ44524 passes Aachen HBF Hockerbahnhof on its way from Gremberg to Antwerpen Noord. Joe says the freight has made Colin Enfield quite a lively place. There's also a couple of short local runs as well as some shunting. So it sounds like there's some stuff that we might get to do, not just AI. No promises there, but it sounds like it. See another shot with 3 more trains in play. Good to see. RE9 makes a stop at Colin Enfield on its way to Siegen Hochbahnhof RE9 will have services run by both Talent 2 and Dosto train sets. Very good. Joe says there are several new AI services added for the route that will make Haken Hochbahnhof and Stolberg feel more connected to the surrounding areas. Instead of it being just RE1 and 9, Düren and Horum has various extra AI services, then of course Colne. So there's an ICE1, there's an ICE3, I think, and a few more services running, pulled by a 146, so some Dosto things, and I can't quite tell what the other one is, looks like a Talent 2. Sitting on the other side there, and way over the other side, might be a 642 maybe not, no it's not, maybe a 612 actually. But anyway, a busy scene at Colne HBF. Joe says with all the new AI traffic, there's always something going on at Colne Hochbahnhof, usually multiple trains moving at once. It'll be busy for driving into and out of, as well as great for train spotting. Colne Harnsering will be another great place to do some virtual train spotting. Joe is making great progress. As yet, we don't have a projected release date for this update. When we'll do, we'll let you know. New York Trenton performance. With October 31st's update, we implemented a core improvement which we believe should vastly improve performance for players on the route. We've seen positive feedback thus far, so if you've previously experienced problems on previous platforms, please give the route another go. We'll let you know your thoughts as ever. We'll continue to review your feedback. I might just give that a crack. I didn't actually have any major dramas, but there were a few interesting spots. Midland Mainline improvements. We want to share some news on a range of improvements we have planned to come to Midland Mainline, courtesy of our friends at Skyhook Games. Summarised below, but not limited to, with some of the headliners for the planned updates. Route scenery improvements, more vegetation, clutter, and scenery fixes. Why don't they just put this in the routes at the start? Snow build-up feature for terrain and track. Improvements to station and route signage. Station lighting improvements, Leicester and Nottingham Station. HST adjustments and fixtures, notably to livery designer, cab and coach lighting, and driver seat camera height. HST is the high-speed train. TSW4 only updated all scenarios and timetable to use TSW4 scoring 2 and platinum medals. Scenario planner AI portal functionality. Does that mean that other updates going to come out for 3? That's an interesting question, because this does call out 2 things for TSW4. In fact, the next paragraph says it. Why didn't I just read that? These improvements will be coming in the future to both Train Sim World 4 and Train Sim World 3, excluding the TSW4 feature-specific changes. We don't currently have a release date planned, and we still need time to test these changes prior to their release. We'll keep you updated when we'll be ready to get these live. For users on Train Sim World 3, these changes will be included in our Train Sim World 3 updates rollout plan, detailed in the next segment. TSW3 updates. We want to keep you informed on our progress for improvements coming to TSW3, so today we'll be sharing our intent for a multiple stage update rollout. Now, just heading off the comments, I know for a really long time they talked about TSW2 updates during the life of TSW3 and they never did it. I hope it doesn't happen again for the people who are still on TSW3. I really do hope that. I don't have any knowledge or news. I don't really want to get into discussions about it. I just hope it's not similar. You know what I mean. Anyway. Our plan is to release improvements in 4 patches rather than all in one go, which will allow us to get some improvements to you sooner and help our testing teams focus on each batch of updates one at a time. The first batch of improvements will be undergoing testing with our QA teams this week, and we'll keep you informed of the release date for this. So they've actually got a program. That's good. That's a very good sign. The latter batches will include the Midland Mainline improvements listed above, and Trenton will be the last batch, as we want to be confident that player experience won't be negatively impacted by this change, and so that it can follow on from a number of improvements to core performance. Now, that said, if you're still on TSW3, TSW4 was on sale last week. I don't think it is now, but there will be the upcoming sales. The sales seem to happen at pretty much the same times every year, so expect some sales on it. I would encourage you to move to it. I really would. I know there's a bit of bad blood from some people, but look, bite the bullet, grab it. I think you'll be happier to have it than not, because you'll be able to get the new DLC. I know some people feel that they're being held to ransom to be able to have new DLC, But this is a fact of life that most games do release an annual update these days. They call it a new version and they pump it out, and it's important to the longevity of the gaming company. It's not the slightest bit unusual. We've had the luxury of free updates for a bit of time while the game got established. It's not sustainable, so it's just going to keep being like this. So that's just life. So in Community Corner, the PC Editor beta, it's been a little over a month since we launched the beta of our PC Editor, and we've blown away with how involved the community has gotten with the tool. From initial route and locomotive creations to supporting each other with incredibly detailed resources and community-made guides. Speaking of amazing community resources, our ambassador Mayton, aka Train Sim Play, has created a public Train Sim World Editor documentation spreadsheet, which has links to all of our official resources and a huge range of community resources and plenty of tutorials/guides all in one place. As a second shout out to Mayton, they've also created a video showcasing community-made editor projects, which you can check out on their channel. As we stated in our last roadmap, the current PC editor is still an early look at what we have in mind, and we're grateful for all the feedback you've sent in and encourage you to keep it coming. We're gathering this feedback, and currently we have a few specific focuses in mind. An ability to package files for distribution, to make .pack files, which are just zip files really, or 7 zips. Landscape material usage, so right now you can't because the stuff's all cooked, which means you can't take it and use it because it has to be raw to use it, which means you need to bring in your own landscape libraries, which means you need to take the freebie ones or buy them. There's quite a lot available actually, particularly if you have a look at Humble Bundle, they run landscape stuff for Unreal quite a lot, and you can buy tons of stuff from there if you want to use that. Rediscoverability of files when reloading the editor. Share more news on these improvements to the editor when they're ready. Finally, we've had some lovely feedback from you all in our PC Editor Masterclasses, and we'll continue to find spaces to include them into our monthly schedule of Train Sim World content. Keep an eye on our Train Sim World announcements for when these are happening. Additional useful PC Editor guides and tutorials. There's a LiDAR tutorial and terrain creation, so those are the first ones that came out recently. Be sure to head over to our PC Editor forum, where you can share your feedback and find more helpful guides, FAQs, and a growing list of community resources. We also wanted to highlight community projects we've seen on the forums too. New timetable for Dresden Risa by MKRAEHE #6051, and a BB 22000 loco for LGB Mediterranean by North the Lock Driver. Also check out their BB 22000 loco on YouTube Showcase. Photo Mode Showcase. One of these days I'm planning on building some scenarios with the editor, but it's been busy. Photo Mode Showcase, give us your best shots. Last time we asked you to share with us your best shots using the new photo mode, and you did not disappoint. Be sure to follow along with the full photo mode collection thread and add in your own shots. Here are some of our highlights from the month. LI50 Special, a nice sunrise shot of a freight being hauled somewhere with that new thick overhead that I love so much. Not. Looks like Cone Pass probably, with a BNSF set hauling some containers. Oops, and who did that one too? It doesn't. Oh, it must be the same person. Captain Gunner Deep with a Santa Fe Chief livery with the fireworks. That's be from Cajon Pass. RLB of a D1762. Is that class 30 something? Can't remember. It's been a while. But anyway, nice snowy scene in the early morning light. Big Cat 4. We've got an inside shot of the Azuma. POV, you're just the fruit pastel I dropped into the aisle. Fair enough. Sean Crabtree 2003 with a massive lightning shot. You had to be a bit lucky to get that one. Trainiac with a nice shot, smooth foreground. They need to work on the bokeh effect a little bit. It's like a cheap digital camera at the moment. And an LNER Zoomer. If I Can Dream with a MTA set sitting in the snow somewhere in New York. Just an incredible range of amazing images. It's impossible to showcase everyone, but please submit your own photo mode highlight shots and you may be featured in next month's update. Train Sim World 4 soundtrack, as mentioned in our Scotsman Vectron Out Now article, everyone can now listen to all 9 tracks of the official Train Sim World 4 soundtrack by heading over to their favourite music platforms, including Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon, and plenty more, and Google Music. As in YouTube Music, it's there. Wrap up. And that's our 5,000 word marathon for November. Thank you for your continual support and key feedback over the last few months. Please keep sending over your thoughts through our forums and community spaces, and be sure to join us tonight for the roadmap stream. I was moderating on there for some of tonight, or this morning as it was for me. So, yep, go watch the video if you want to. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there. Thank you very much for hanging around and listening and watching this as we went. I did pop in some new things there of commenting over the top of some of the preview videos under fair use for copyright. I hope that doesn't cause me an issue when this actually goes to air. We shall see. Please let me know if you like that sort of thing. So I'm happy to do it as long as it doesn't cause me any grief on YouTube and it's useful for you. So let me know if it's useful or not. Alrighty, as usual, all feedback and comments, chuck them down below, and we will go from there. Thanks heaps, folks. See you later.